So in today's lesson, I'm going to talk about shuffles. It's probably not something that you've looked at before if you're a pretty beginner drummer. I'm talking about maybe 1 to 2 years of playing drums. The shuffle is not something that a beginner would really tackle because you stick to the rock beat and the rock beat gets you out of a lot of trouble. But when it comes down to a situation where you're playing with a band and you've got a front man turns around to you and tells you to play a song you don't know, it's a possibility they'll say, you know, it's easy, it's just a shuffle beat, you'll be fine. And then they turn back around, they start the song. You want to be in the situation where you've got a little bit of experience and you can get yourself out of that trouble by just playing the shuffle beat that you were taught. This lesson is going to help you do that. So, what is a shuffle beat? How do we even describe what it is? Well, if you guys understand what triplets are, it's very triplet based. And if you don't understand what triplets are, I'm going to just cover it very, very quickly, but there is a specific triplet lesson that you can go back and look at if my explanation here is too fast, because I'm not going to stick on it. So, triplets are when you stick 3 beats into a pulse. Okay, so if you've got 4 beats in a bar, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Triplets will hit 3 times on each number. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will turn into 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now a lot of people have trouble with that because they don't really know how to count it. And really there's no absolutely 100% correct way to count this. Different teachers will teach in different ways. My choice is to teach it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so if you were taught a different way, I'm not saying that's wrong, it's just different, and each teacher will have their own way. So if you count your triplets 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that helps you keep it all together. Okay? Now, I already said that the shuffle beat is in triplet form, and it is, but you don't play all 3 hits. You play the first one, and you play the third one. The second one doesn't get played. So if you look at your first line of music, you can see on the hi-hat, we've got a hit on 1 and we've got a hit on a. The and is rested, so it goes 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. That is a shuffle. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, 1, a, 2, a, 3, a, 4, a, 1, a, 2, a, 3, a, 4. That is the hard bit. Trust me, everything else you already know. If you've done the rock beat, you're pretty comfortable with the bass drum on 1, the snare drum on 2, the bass drum on 3, the snare drum on 4. And that is exactly what you're asked to do on exercise number 1. So you've got your shuffle on the hi-hats, bass on 1, snare on 2, bass on 3, snare on 4. It's pretty straightforward. Let's try it nice and slow together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just remember, you want to take this nice and slowly. The faster you do this, the more likely this is going to force you to make mistakes. So if you do it slowly, you're more likely to get it right. And the more times you get it right over and over again, you're giving yourself a pattern of playing it correctly. If you do it fast, you try and make it sound like a finished product, all you're going to end up doing is forcing yourself into failure, making the mistake over and over again, frustrating yourself, making it a far bigger job than it has to be. Slow and right is way better than fast and wrong. So take it slow until you're comfortable. When you're there, you can then speed it up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That shuffle is going to get you out of trouble. Seriously, if you're in a performance situation and someone says, it's easy, just play a shuffle. Don't panic, just play that and you'll get out of trouble. But if you only play the 1 beat for the whole song, you're going to raise some eyebrows. Some people are going to say, does that guy really know how to play the drums? Has he ever played the shuffle before? So you need to fool them a little bit more. You need to learn a couple of different tricks so that they don't suspect that you've got no experience with this. So the next line of music will show you that there's a little variant on the bass drum pattern to help you make it sound a little bit different. So what you've got is 1 on the bass drum, and then 2 is in its normal place, and then just a normal bass on 3 and 4. So all you're doing is sticking in an extra bass drum on the of 1. This is what it sounds like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and So having the ability to switch between exercise 1 and exercise 2 will make it sound like you've got more than just one beat. The third exercise shows you further variation on bass drum. So you've got bass on 1, normal snare on 2, then bass on 3, normal snare on 4. Let's see what that sounds like. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... You'll notice that the second line has a completely different pattern to it. So this is what we call a 2-bar pattern. Okay? The first bar plays 1, 2, 3, 4. The second bar changes slightly. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So the bass drum changes for the second pattern. You can play this pattern, it's 2 bars long, over and over again, and it sounds very, very smooth. 1, 2, here we go. It just shows a little bit of comfort in moving between one pattern and the other, and if you can practice that and get smooth with it, nobody's going to suspect at all that you don't play shuffles normally. Okay, so now you've got a couple of different variations of a pattern that you can play. But if you play no fills for an entire song, it's going to show that you're not that comfortable. So we want to learn a couple of fills that you can get comfortable with, get good at playing, so that when you're in that shuffle scenario, you can get away with it.